Welcome, everyone, to a new episode of Monday Bagel, the podcast where we dive deep into the intersection of law, technology, and society with inspiring voices from around the world. I'm your host, Michał Jackowski, and today I'm thrilled to welcome a very special guest, Tedi Dobi, who is a Deputy Minister of Justice of Albania. Tedi has been leading the charge in one of Europe's most ambitious efforts to integrate artificial intelligence into the public administration and more specifically into the judiciary of Albania. We are going to talk about Albania's path to digitizing justice, the risks and promises of AI in judicial systems, and how a country in transformation can serve as a model for others. So, Tedi, thank you for joining us today, and it's a real pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much, Michael, for having me. It's a pleasure to be in this discussion.
So let's start with the current status of AI integration within the Albanian judicial system. Where are we? What's the regulatory framework so far? You have the new law on GDPR. We can discuss about it as well. So where we are in this process?
Yeah. Well, of course, AI is such a great opportunity right now. It's a tool that is very useful, especially for complex processes such as matters of judiciary, but at the same time, it is a tool that needs to be given the proper care and attention in order to be useful instead of it to be a hindrance. We as the Albanian government, as well as the Albanian state in general, really believe in the usefulness of AI, and for this reason, even during the time that we were adopting our new law on e-governance during the period 22-23 finalized within 24, it was at the forefront of a lot of these discussions, and we have ensured that the necessary legal framework is found in order to ensure offering of proper, let's say, electronic services throughout the governmental systems, and of course to use the AI, where we really are being quite in the forefront. So at the moment, we actually are using AI in the EU integration process, where it's a very useful tool in the translation of the acquis. The acquis is a huge body of work. It's a body of work that by some estimates is nearly 350,000 pages long. So it's like a big body of law, and we are really making use of AI to do a process that, in the case of Croatia, for instance, took about 7 years to do it in 7 months. So as to say, it might take 12 months, but that's not the problem. The thing is that it's a very useful tool, and to really have integrated in everything else. And at the same time, we are really looking forward to making the best use of AI during the processes of the judiciary. And in order to ensure that we can implement it, and we want to implement it during the period 27-2030, we are doing all the necessary preparatory work. So very importantly, the digitization of all services, where a very important element for Albania is the digitalization of all the cadastral information, all of property regimes, in order to ensure that they are all found in a way that is accessible by the courts, the public, but of course also to serve as a good basis for the AI whenever it is used for like search purposes or for consolidation or for finding legal gaps or different legal interpretation. Because of course, we are not saying that AI will be used as an adjudication tool. The adjudicator is always a human. It's always a judge who has finished the school of magistrate, who has fulfilled other criteria according to the constitution and the status law, but to have this great tool in order to really help them in all of their kind of staff, both legal and other support staff in doing the work. So the necessary work is being undergoing. We also, for all car property registration, it's currently digitalized. We have everything from 2018 onwards. All notarial documentation is archived digitally, and the notaries are continuing work on digitalizing also a backlog of, let's say, previous archival information. So all information can be shared into a unified system. And at the same time, we are updating our entire case management systems, be it for courts, for prosecutions, and for the other bodies, within a big frame, which we call the integrated case management system, which is composed of components for the courts being developed under the stewardship and leadership of the governance institutions for the courts, the High Judicial Council, for prosecutors under the leadership and guidance of the High Prosecutorial Council. For our Special Prosecution Office, there is a completely different system for all its needs, but they all are built in a way that they all fit together seamlessly. They all interact also with state databases, ensuring adequate safeguards for independence and transparency. And this serves as the basis for which we then are implementing our AI solutions. And for the things that we're very excited about the use of AI, which we believe will serve also as a way to really get lessons learned also for implementation into the judiciaries, the work that we're doing also in public procurement. So we are in the phase of trying out having AI be used as a pre-selection tool that then, of course, is counter-checked for quality and, let's say, proper legal qualifications by humans, but to really make use of it not only as a tool to help with more mechanical things, but also with things that require more of a discernment. So all of this we are in a belief that will help us ensuring that we have a fully implemented e-justice and the use of AI both as a tool, but also to try it out in more kind of complex processes by 2030.
It's impressive. The scope is impressive, and the target also. It's 2030 sounds quite far away, but it's not so much time. So it's an impressive and ambitious goal. So you are in the process of implementation EU laws and standards. So how does the Albanian public administration and judiciary ensure that AI applications and digitization more generally comply with EU standards and human rights obligation? You have also your own constitutional standards in this field. So can you elaborate a bit about it?
Yes. Albania and the Albanian constitution fully enshrines our obligations under the European Convention of Human Rights. Of course, the rights of privacy and personal rights are very highly respected and understood and undertaken by the Albanian legislation. We, as party members of the Council of Europe, are in the process of adopting also the European Convention, which actually has also membership from the US and Canada on the use of AI in compliance with upholding the rule of law, dignity, and human rights. And at the same time, Albania now is fully compliant with the GDPR. Since December of last year, we have domestic legislation that fully implements all GDPR obligations. So at the same time, we have had by May of this year all the necessary sub-legal acts also imposed. So all this framework ensures that we have, let's say, the necessary safeguards. But safeguards cannot only be done at, let's say, a theoretical and legal level. They need to be applicable at the daily level. That's why we have been very, let's say, ambitious, as you said, with 2030 as ambitious date, but at the same time, very careful not to be overtaken by the novelty of everything, but to take all the necessary steps. So at the moment, whenever we try out the use of AI to help with the processes, it has been done in very distinct, specific areas, such as, for instance, with the translation and approximation processes. It was done in topics such as justice and home affairs, which are the sort of topics that are a bit more of a public nature. So there's no concern with, let's say, personal private information. At the same time, all of our, let's say, partners, OpenAI, and now we're also working very closely with Microsoft in implementation of a lot of the AI tools are done in a way that, let's say, the base information is stored in specific servers that are under our, let's say, controls in order to ensure that all data that is used is properly vetted and all the data that is put inside is also, let's say, processed and ensured in full compliance with the legislation. And at the same time, whenever we are making use of the AI tools, we are making sure that they serve only as a basis, and then there are processes for quality assurance and for ensuring that it's a human element at the end. So for us, it's very important. We want to really much stress it that AI is a useful, incredibly useful tool, but the humans are at the steering wheel and are the ones that are ultimately responsible for the decisions that are taken. From the more let's say mundane things such as cross-checking between databases and getting the extracts, all the way to taking the final decisions. Because I'm sure that the big concern, and it's a very understandable concern, is that tools that are so useful sometimes make the human mind lazy, and you want to transfer the decision making to these tools, but at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of code. It does not understand ethics. It does not understand love. It does not understand passion. That is where the human element, in my opinion, and I believe it's kind of the general feeling that it's we that have to kind of make the best use of it, but always be a steering wheel.
You just went very quickly to my next question. I wanted to ask what challenges you are facing in adopting AI. Human oversight is one of, and keeping human in the loop is one you mentioned, but do you have any more?
So I would consider the three main challenges is ensuring adequate baseline information. As I said, all the information that we use for our AI implementation are on their own databases, so to say. It's not your typical ChatGPT that takes everything from the internet. So it's let's say a restricted amount of information. And when it's a restricted amount of information, you really need to ensure the information is correct, it's up to date, it's properly readable, it's properly digitalized. That's why we're doing all of this preparatory work. That's why we did not want to just start implementing, let's say, a module directly into the baseline of the code of the case management systems without ensuring first that all the data is properly checked. And as I was explaining in the beginning, to have from all the different areas, not only legislation, but court decisions, notarial acts, all kinds of movable and immovable property registers and everything else. So this is incredibly important for us in the work that we're doing. The second part, of course, is finding the right balance at the procedure level. So, of course, we have a very good legal basis at a big framework, but the more you have implement and the more you work, the more you need to fine-tune all the procedures and all the elements. And very much connected to this is, of course, the training aspect. We are very lucky. We have the National Agency for Information Society, which is a, let's say, national single point of entry for all digital solutions. And they are very active for and working with a lot of other partners, both, let's say, external funders, as well as, of course, by way of our own finances in order to do trainings. We have done very good trainings with all 1,746 members of the what we call interinstitutional working groups. So the people that are directly involved with the process of EU integration, since it's a process that is very much dynamic and where AI has had its biggest implementation. A lot of these are at the same time people that work within, let's say, the courts, court administration, and all other kind of bodies. So this is very important element that we're doing. At the same time, we have a Minister of Economy, Culture and Innovation, which was this very interesting combination of topics. And the Deputy Minister in charge of innovation, his main role is to coordinate a lot of the work, ensuring that also non-state actors will also collaborate with them and with a School of Advocates, and as well with all other kinds of non-state actors and institutions, in order to ensure that we can widen as much as possible the net of trainings, and at the same time send it all away. A very important element which we have seen as an investment for the future is that we are practically have introduced, let's say, baseline coding, programming, and AI understanding skills from, let's say, primary school onwards throughout the territory of Albania. And at the same time, we are very lucky that in Albania we have the biggest innovation hub in the Balkans, called the TUMO, in the Pyramida innovation area. where they train large numbers of young people from the ages of 12 to 16 for all these new topics such as programming, coding, AI, the use of robotics, in order to ensure that we not only have the right people that will be the next, let's say, implementers of the system, but people that also might do it as like an extracurricular or an afternoon thing, and they have this, let's say, technical and more importantly, understand literacy, like literacy of what AI means and what are the goods, the bads, and what are those areas that one needs to be careful about.
It's crucial what you mentioned. There is a huge gap in knowledge and understanding how to use AI, how to critically evaluate it. Next question is also about regulatory framework a bit. Let's come back to this because you are not a member of EU yet. It may be advantage in somehow because you don't have to adopt for instance, AI Act immediately, but you can check what's working and what's not working, for instance. But do you collaborate with international organizations to facilitate AI integration in the public administration somehow? You follow the EU path or you do it quite independently? How does it work?
So it's true, we're still not a member of the European Union, but because of the fact that we're a candidate and we are very much progressed into the process. So we, at the current moment we're speaking, are in the phase that we have pretty much opened 4 out of all 6 clusters. And at the current pace, we are trying to finalize our interim benchmarks in fundamentals, so judiciary being at the forefront of it within 2025. And we expect to finalize all the technical side of negotiations by practically end of 27, 1st of January 28, to be, let's say, on a technical level. So let's say 2030 to be the end date. For this reason, we are under an obligation also by way of the 2006 Stabilization Association Agreement, which is the main, let's say, international document that kind of binds Albania and the European Union and all the member states of the European Union to have these obligations with the areas of communication, originally as understand 2006, but right now also topics such as digitalization and of course implementation of AI Act to be part of obligations. So our colleagues, the process is led by the Ministry of MIE, Infrastructure and Energy. They also have communication and digitalization process together with the Ministry for Innovation in order to have both the SA, DMA, and the AI Act adopted. So for this reason, we collaborate both with the technical expertise provided by way of EU funds. We have a very big project called EU for Innovation, with whom it's funded by the EU and it's implemented by GIZ. And they are a key tool from which we get a lot of, let's say, trainings, information, also very highly level technical assistance. And at the same time, we work very closely with the Commission and with partner states in order to address a lot of these topics. This is the case also for, let's say, GDPR. We are not a member, but very much, let's say, as a member state when it comes to the obligations and to the safeguards that are provided to the European standards, practically at the same level as European citizens, but also to the European citizens, taking into account that we have quite a large number of tourists that come into Albania. We expect nearly 40 million tourists in this year. It's a country of 2.4 million. So, of course, we need to ensure that they get all the safeguards that they get in the home country also here. And we are very proud of all the work that we've done. And also, when it comes to the AI Act, we are, let's say, walking side by side in the same step also with the other states.
Okay, great achievement. Are there any pilot programs or case studies demonstrating the effectiveness of AI in improving, I don't know, judicial efficiency or public administration efficiency in Albania? You mentioned translation that was speeded up like 10 times compared to Croatia. Can you share some other success stories or not yet?
So one data that I always like to say, it's for translation, not only it makes it 10 times faster, but the level of accuracy that AI is able to do, it's quite high. So it's up to 99.6%. Of course, the 0.4% might seem very small, but it's a key element. That's the devil lies in details, and that is the details where it lies and where we make sure that the experts go and check everything. At the same time, what we are using AI quite successfully, and it has a direct benefit to the citizens. At the moment, we are directly using it for the general e-Albania do call, so the government platform. We're also talking to the IT center for the judiciary in order for them to use for judiciary with the implementation of the new modules and the work that's been done for all these digitalized archives. Is that there is this virtual assistant called Diela, where you as, let's say, the citizen can interact as a natural language and make questions, and she helps you by identifying what are the services you need, what are, she redirects you to all the different services, and it has been quite useful. The National Agency for Information Society is going to DIA 2.0 as we speak, so it will become even more interactive and even more useful. And that is a very good tool, because the thing is that we have had great strides when it comes to offering digital services. So we are a country that offers more than 1,600 different services by way of Albania to the citizen. But with all of these services, US citizen can get a bit lost.
Yeah.
So this is where we have found that using DLA and the AI model behind her to have all the information and update everything and learn from the interaction with the public has been very useful, and we believe it will be useful also for the people that need to find information from archives of the judiciary and things like that.
And what's the reaction of lawyers? Because we are in a podcast about AI and law, and I see that mostly lawyers watch it. So what's the response of lawyers? How do they approach adoption of these new technologies, digitization?
Albanians tend to be very early adopters of technology. So there is a lot of positivity and quite a lot of use of new technologies. When it comes to lawyers, of course, a lot of them find these tools very useful. At the moment, we still certain processes by virtue of the procedural codes, which we are in the process of updating as part of our EU integration elements. They require still a lot of paper-based approaches. But what we were able to do, we had emergency legislation during the COVID period. So we really made use of a lot of these alternative solutions, and they've been incredibly successful. So using the good lessons learned, we believe that we're in the good step. And at the same time, this has been part of our, let's say, step-by-step, ambitious but cautious approach. It's not that we have, let's say, put a new system and just bring it out and said, you use it. But we are the same all the time discussing with the colleagues from the National Chamber of Advocates and from all the other legal professions, how to make the right use of all the systems and how to ensure that also their internal systems and tools that these bodies are using can be, let's say, standing at the same level and work at the same pace as the one being used by the government. Advocates being a prime example for their interactions, and especially the work on digitization, all of these, let's say, useful tools for their searches and interactions will be useful for their research and all of their other work. But at the same time, also notaries, which are a major producer of information, but at the same time, user of information, bailiffs, which are a key element for enforcing decisions, and all the other actors of the free legal profession family.
Okay, and what about judges? In Poland, we see the difference between level of acceptance of new technologies between young judges, especially in lower instance courts, and older, more experienced, but more distanced to new technologies judges from highest courts. How does it look in Albania? Is there any generational gap as well there?
I would say that in our case, the level of generational divide is not very big.
Okay.
We, of course, had the contest in Albania that we passed the vetting process, which is this incredibly important process that we started practically in 2016 and we finalized last November, which ensured that we did checking of the basic criteria of integrity, professionalism, and proper asset declaration for all judges and prosecutors. It has led, of course, to ensuring that, quote unquote, the bad apples are out of the system. But of course, it led to a number of vacancies in different levels and an increase in the number of the workload of our judges. So they, under this context, are very happy to have all the tools and all the solutions possible in order to make their life more manageable, so to say, and to ensure that they can fulfill the obligations, because at the same time the High Judicial Council, which is the body governing, which is fully independent from the government, all the, let's say, judicial and judicial profession, as well as their professional evaluation, everything has certain, let's say, standards of disposition and of treatment of cases that they need to fulfill, and they find that these tools are very useful, because this is what I always go back to, that we are very happy to be living in the moment that we can make use of the AI, but we never want to have sell it or understand it as something more than it is. Like, we really want to put the stress in the fact that it's a very useful tool, that it can really help all these different bodies, judges, prosecutors in their side, for all the research part, legal professionals, everybody, even little timid, so to say, in order to make work faster, more efficient, and as high quality as possible.
One last question. I wanted to ask, what's your vision for the future role of AI in Albanian judiciary in 10 years? But maybe I should ask after 2030, when you have such the ambitious goal. So what's your vision of the more distant future, not the closest one, but in few years?
So the way that I see it's very much interacted with the elements of justice, and for me that is the core. It's a very important module, but of a much bigger system, which is incredibly complex per se. And this is a process that I've talked with colleagues from Poland, from France, from everybody. It's incredibly difficult. That the same, let's say, case involving the same people in the same, let's say, matter has the same, let's say, understanding, numbering, processing from, let's say, the moment that it arrives to the police to the moment of its execution. And by way of using this integrated system, all the information can be passed very quickly, and the AI is useful for the judges and the legal advisors, in the cases of the legal advisors, in order to do the research, to do the baseline, let's say, of the decisions. For instance, for an appeal court, it takes all the relevant parts of the earlier court cases. It ensures that a lot of the groundwork is already done, and then the judge can really concentrate their time together with the legal advisors in properly ensuring the information is correct and the proper, let's say, argumentation of all the facts, and getting all the necessary information at a tangible and high level, to be incredibly useful in at a real time, let's say, interact also with other judiciaries for getting and receiving information, and for having it translated and summarized and prepared. Also for the public, incredibly important for it to be a useful tool for them to access all the information they need by way of virtual assistants, but at the same time, in order to get all the information they need for, let's say, so understanding of the law. So not only as a tool for the judiciary per se, but also as a tool of legal aid and legal education. Because for us, legal education is a very important element. It's so important that we have the cross-sector justice strategy, which is 2024-2030, and a very key component into it is legal education and making different tools for the public in order to understand their rights, obligations, and the situation presented to them in as clear and understandable and useful a manner. We believe it's a key element, and that is really an area where AI can be super useful to really provide information that is correct and pleasant to read and to understand in all the different forms and models.
Okay, it's a great vision, and I keep my fingers crossed you achieve it already as a EU member. So, Teddy, thank you so much for sharing your time and insights. It's inspiring your way, and it's so practical. You envision something, but you do small steps, step by step, to achieve the goal. So I believe your story will resonate with many of our listeners who are trying to navigate similar reforms, maybe in their countries, sometimes in their companies. So thank you very much for sharing it.
It was a great pleasure, and always happy to have a talk with you.
And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to subscribe to Monday Bagel on YouTube. Follow us for upcoming episodes on the future of AI, privacy, and the digital transformation of law and governance. Thank you very much. Bye bye.